Right. So let's get it started. Thank you so much for coming today. We are talking about everything is on fire. And I don't know about you, but I kind of have those days where I feel like all I'm doing is running around and putting out fires. Today has absolutely been one of those days, but there's ways that we can get through them without getting overwhelmed and super stressed out. So we're going to be discussing some of those things that we can do to help diminish our stress throughout the day, especially when we feel like we are firefighters. My name is Megan Woolerton. I am the owner of Life Force Wellness. I currently hold certifications as a personal trainer, a health coach, a nutrition coach, a corporate wellness specialist, a positive psychology practitioner, and I'm certified in stress management, sleep, and recovery. I'm currently working on an advanced certification in change psychology. So hopefully, I'll have some new fun webinars to share with you as the year progresses and as I continue to learn. But as you can see, I'm pretty well rounded in all things wellness. So when I speak on things like stress and well being, I'm bringing it from several different perspectives. So we're not just going to be talking about physical well being. We're also going to be talking about your nutrition. We're going to be talking about your sleep. We're going to be talking about how your job impacts your health and your well being. And I work with individuals and companies. I believe that in order for us to achieve real health and well being, we need to work with our leadership and our organizations in order to really reduce the burnout and the stress that we have in our lives. So, as we dive in, let's talk about stress and the body. Some of this you may already know. You've probably already heard that, having high stress response in your body can do things like start to damage your heart, cause weight gain, cause inflammation. But I want us to really have a new appreciation for stress. If it weren't for our stress response, we would have died off as a species a long time ago. So, when our ancestors were wandering the desert and all they had was a stick and they were foraging for food, a lion jumped out at them. Enter fight or flight response. That's a high stress response. This means our system got flooded with adrenaline and cortisol, and that causes the body to really amp up and be ready to be in that fight or flight mode. Our heart beats faster, our muscles tighten, our blood pressure increases, our breath quickens, our senses become sharper. And I don't know about you, but if I am about to either fight off or run away from a lion, these are all the things I want my body to do. Once they got out of that situation, they'd return back to their cave dwelling and they'd go into what's known as homeostasis. They'd be able to kind of decompress. So, why are we all so stressed out right now? I don't think many of us are fighting off lions, tigers, or bears, oh my, on our way to the office or the grocery store as we go through our daily routine. I would hope that nobody on this call is really under stress of physical threat. And yet, our bodies are still engaging this fight or flight, that high stress response. What we have learned is that now most of our comes from a social aspect. So our ancestors learned that when we built tribes, when we built community, if I am going about my day trying to forage for food and a lion jumps out at me and I have 10 of my friends with me, we are more likely to be able to fight off that lion together than I am one on one. And if you want to get really dark, I only have to outrun one of my friends in order to survive that situation. Either way, whether I'm fighting or taking flight, my chances of survival in those situations go up exponentially when I am part of a tribe and a community. So, a lot of our stress today really comes from a social aspect. There was a really interesting study done in 2009 by Lieberman and Einsberg. And what they did is they took participants and said, hey, we want to put you in this fMR brain scanner, and we want to see what happens with your brain when you play a virtual game of toss the ball. Great. So these participants get in these brain scanners and they start playing toss the ball. Person A throws to person B throws to person C back to person A, right? We're just going around tossing the ball. Well, over time, what happened is me, the participant in the brain scanner, like any good psychological study, I had been lied to. I was not playing with other people. I'm playing with a computer simulation. And after a few minutes of playing this game of toss the ball virtually, person B threw to person C, back to person B, back to person C. And what happened is I became basically a glorified bench warmer where I was just sitting on the sidelines watching two people play a game of toss the ball back and forth. And what they found is the areas of the brain that lit up are the same areas of the brain that light up when we are under physical threat. So if you've ever had anyone do anything to you that was just dirty or like not good, they outcast you, and you said something like, "It felt like I was punched in the gut," and you got physically ill over it. That is your brain recognizing that social threat the same way as a physical threat, and that manifests as pain in the body, and that coined the term social pain. So a lot of that social stress that we have actually causes a lot of pain and inflammation in our body. As a side note, they found that pain relievers can actually alleviate social pain. So even though there's no actual bruise or sprain or strain, your body still acts as if there is. And so pain relievers do help that pain. And that's one of the reasons that we're looking into is, do we have an epidemic with people abusing pain relieving drugs because they're trying to alleviate social pain in their lives? So, when you are in high pain, I want you to just think for a moment. We've all been there. We've had something happen where we've been in extreme pain. And I hope this doesn't happen to anybody. But for a moment, let's imagine you were in an accident and you've just severed your hand, right? You are sitting in the back of an ambulance, your hand is on ice, you're getting ready to go to the hospital, and then someone runs up to you and they're like, "Hey, can you solve this really difficult problem?" Or, "Hey, I have this math problem. Can you figure it out?" Or, "Hey, can you think of a new creative way to do this thing?" What are you thinking? How about, my hand, I need to get to the hospital. All you can think about in that moment is the pain that you are in. It is clouding everything else. What happens when we are in high pain or high stress, the prefrontal cortex of our brain, the part that has the higher functioning, the problem solving, the creative thinking, it actually starts to go completely offline. And so we're able to focus, we're able to make good decisions in those moments. So if you are somebody who is dealing with any level of social pain or high chronic stress day after day, and you're struggling to come up with new solutions, solve problems, be productive in your day, it's not entirely your fault. Part of it is you are working against the chemistry in your brain to be able to fully function. How these tend to manifest: if you are under chronic stress, you notice the aches and pains in your body. You might experience insomnia and sleeplessness, changes in your social behavior, low energy, unfocused or cloudy thinking, poor memory, changes in appetite. Maybe you're using drugs and alcohol to alleviate the pain. You're changing your emotional response. A lot of people tend to emotionally withdraw or turn inwards, digestive issues, and increased inflammation in the body. And if you just use this as a checkbox and you're sitting and going, "Yeah, check, check, check," you're probably experiencing a lot of stress right now. Now, burnout has become kind of this buzzword. And I want us to understand that there is a very real difference between having high chronic stress and burnout. When you hit burnout, you hit a state of complete mental, physical, and emotional exhaustion. So when you're heavily stressed, you can usually do stress relieving activities, right? You can go find a hobby or do something that brings you joy. You can take that hot bubble bath. You can go work it out in the gym. You have something you can do that helps to bring you back into some level of homeostasis, bring down the temperature of your stress. But when you're at burnout, you will have a hard time engaging in those activities. You're going to have a hard time doing the stress relieving activities. The things that were once important to you, those hobbies that you used to enjoy, those things that you used to really take care into, you no longer really find them important. And you might even start to experience hopelessness. And this can really lead us down a dark path into depression and even suicidal ideation. So burnout is not something to be, talked about lightly. Most of us are experiencing high stress, but when that high stress is day after day, month after month, it can eventually manifest into going into full burnout where we feel that sense of hopelessness. And one of the biggest causes of burnout and high stress is having a lack of real balance in our lives, not paying attention to all areas of well being. Now, before we get any further, I'd like to kind of take a pulse check with everyone on this call and see where is your current stress level. So we're going to take a perceived stress survey right now together. I encourage you grab a piece of paper, grab a pen. I'm going to ask you 10 questions. This is based on the last month. So since we are newly into the month of April, I want you to think about the month of March. So in the month of March, I'm going to ask you, how often did you feel a certain way? If you didn't feel it at all, 0 is never, 1 is almost never, 2 is sometimes, 3 is fairly often, and 4 is very often. So it's a scale of 0 to 4 is what you're going to rank yourself. I am going to blow this up on the screen. So if you want to read along, I will read them out loud, and the scoring scale is there. So just have that piece of paper and pencil ready, 1 through 10, and then give yourself a score. So number 1, in the last month, how often have you been upset because of something that happened unexpectedly? 0, never, 1, almost never, 2, sometimes, 3, fairly often, 4, very often. Number 2, in the last month, how often have you felt that you were unable to control all the important things in your life? That idea, everything's on fire. Number 3, in the last month, how often have you felt nervous and stressed? Number 4, in the last month, how often have you felt confident about your ability to handle your personal problems? So you had confidence in your ability to handle your problems. Number 5, in the last month, how often have you felt like things were just going your way? Number 6, in the last month, how often have you found that you could not cope with all the things you had to do? Number 7, in the last month, how often have you been able to control the irritations in your life? Number 8, in the last month, how often have you felt like you were on top of things? Number 9, in the last month, how often have you been angered because of things that were outside of your control? And number 10, in the last month, how often have you felt like difficulties were piling up so high you could not overcome them? I'm going to leave this up for one more minute. You should have a score next to each one of those 10. For those of you that were just popping in, don't worry. I'll have a link for you to take the perceived stress survey afterwards if you want to take it online. Right now, we're just getting a gauge of our current stress. So you should have an answer for all 10. Now, how do we get our score? You should have noticed that questions 4, 5, 7, and 8 were positive. So we have to flip those scores. So go to question 4. If you gave yourself a 0, I now want you to give yourself a 4. If you gave yourself a 1, make it a 3. 2 remains the same. If you gave yourself a 3, make it a 1. And if you gave yourself a 4, make it a 0. So you're going to flip that score. And then I want you to flip it for question 5, 7, and 8 as well. So reverse the score. Once you've reversed all your scores, now you're going to add up the total of all 10 with that new score that you've reversed. Add up the score of all 10 and then go ahead and put it in the chat for me. What is your current score? And the chat should be open. Okay, got a couple answers here coming in. Anyone else put their score in there? Hmm. All right. We're in the 20s, it looks like. If you want, you can give me a react. If you are in the 20s, you can do a little thumbs up or a little heart. I'm in the 20s. If you are lower, you can go ahead and give like a little star or thumbs down.
The chat is disabled.
Oh, your chat's disabled. Some people have the chat up. I've gotten a couple of them up here. Hmm.
I was having the same issue that my cat was disabled, so it let me message you directly.
Okay. Chat should be enabled. I don't know. Like I said, there are days. We all have days, right? Okay, so let's go through here. We've got our stress level. If you were a 0 through 13, low stress. Good job. You managed it in the month of March. If you were a 14 to 26, moderate stress, usually about 22, you start to see multiple of those symptoms we talked about. So like those aches and pains, insomnia. If you are 27 or above, you have high stress. Now, here's the thing. If your score is a little high for the month of March, maybe March was a stressful month for you. I tend to use this tool with my clients on a monthly basis. So at the beginning of every month, we reflect on the previous month. How did it go? And I look for patterns. It's okay. You get around the holiday season and we're all high stress. It's end of the year stuff. It's all the crazy shopping and family get togethers and travel. And of course, it's high stress. And then in the summers, we typically see, okay, I went on vacation, I had a chance to unplug, maybe I had lower stress. So we look for those months where we know we're going to be in high stress. We can game plan kind of in advance. What can I start to do? What can I start to implement to help those stress levels? However, if you're somebody and you're seeing high stress month over month, week over week, then now we're getting into chronic stress. And on a long enough timeline, it's going to lead to burnout. So this is a great tool to use. You can find it for free online. We have a link to it. It's not one of my tools. It's one that I've learned, just the perceived stress survey, and just kind of track kind of where your high stress is and how often. If it's month over month that you have a high score, we want to make sure that we're implementing some kind of stress relieving. So we talked about how balance can really be caused because of a lack of, or burnout can happen because of a lack of balance in our lives. And I am not one to do work life balance. I don't really like to use that terminology because I feel like we all get that cute little picture in our mind like 50% of my life is work and 50% is just other life. And I don't know about you, I don't want 50% of my life to be work. If you look at a week, there's 168 hours in a week. If you spend 40 at work and you get 8 hours of sleep a night, that's 56 hours of sleep. That still leaves 72 hours for other life events. And when you break it down into hours, you almost think like, why should I have all this time to do all those fun, happy life things? But the problem is like not all life is happy, fun, stress relieving stuff. I don't know about you. I've got grass to cut, laundry to do, meals to cook, house to clean, kids to run around. There's a lot going on over here. So it's really hard to kind of put a number or a figure on what is balance. And the truth is, balance is different for everyone. An entrepreneur, somebody who runs their own business, is maybe going to work more than somebody who works a 9 to 5 job, but they find purpose and passion in their work. And so it's not really draining them, it's actually motivating them and filling them. People who are managers versus employees, they may have a different ratio to where they spend their time, how they spend their time. If you're a parent versus if you don't have children yet, that time's going to be spent differently. Older people versus younger people. I have clients that are semi retired or fully retired that still struggle with life balance because basically they traded office life for babysitting grandkids and doctor's appointments and volunteering, and they still are finding that they're running themselves ragged, even without a quote unquote job. And so, really, what it comes down to is a mindset. And I coach, there are four main traps that we fall into that really cause us to become out of balance. And I want you to kind of recognize maybe which traps you're falling into. The first is incongruence. This is when our beliefs don't match our actions. So, this is common when I have clients that say, I wish I had more time to spend with my friends. But then when their friends call them up and say, Hey, are you coming out tonight? They go, Nah, I'm going to stay and watch Netflix on my own in my pajamas. There's an incongruence here. You keep telling me you want to spend time with your friends, but you don't take the opportunity when it presents itself. What's going on there? Is there imposter syndrome? Is it a lack of confidence? Like, what is going on? Let's dig a little bit deeper and figure out why we don't seem to be in alignment here. The second is public stigma. This is a big one. This is, I have to do something because others expect it of me. I have to take on that project because my boss expects me. I have to host family meals because it's what my mother or grandmother expects of me. I have to do this because it's what my kids' teachers expect of me. And this can lead us into people pleasing, where we just kind of say yes to everything. We're the person that everyone starts to turn to because they know we won't say no, and it almost gets abused. And we put our own needs on the back burner to please others and take on things that maybe aren't in alignment with our values or what's really important to us. And that can lead us to burnout. The third one is internal stigma. So this is putting unrealistic expectations on myself. Nobody's forcing me to reach these high levels, but I will feel like a failure if I don't do them. So one of the examples I like to give here is my kids are having a bake sale. Nobody cares if I go to the grocery store, buy Chips Ahoy, put them on a plate, and send them off. But I will feel like a bad mom if I don't make them from scratch at home with all organic ingredients. Nobody is asking me to make fresh cookies with all organic ingredients. They just want me to have something to sell at the bake sale. But I'm putting this expectation on myself. And sometimes we need to take a step back and give ourselves grace and really look at the situation, go, what can I tackle right now in this season? The last one is ambiguity. This is when you have no clear objective and you don't celebrate your wins. So I hear from clients, oh, I want to have more money. I want to be fit. I want to be healthy. I want to be more successful. What does that mean? Like, how many dollars in the bank do you need to be wealthy? What does it mean to be healthy or fit? Have you defined it? Have you actually set that smart goal? I mean, picture running a race and the gun goes off and you start running and you're running and it's awful because running's awful and there's no mile markers and there's no finish line. Eventually, you're going to just collapse from exhaustion and you're going to lay there and go, what did I accomplish? I didn't get anything done because you had no mile markers. And a lot of times we lay in bed at night ruminating, I didn't do this and I didn't do that and I didn't send that email. And you don't take the time to look back and go, look at all the things I did accomplish. Like, are my kids bathed, fed, and in bed? Win, win, win. You know, did I get those projects done? Yes. Did I get a load of laundry done? Yes. Like, give yourself a win for the things you did accomplish. But if you're not paying attention to them and you're not clear about what the goal is and where the mile markers are, you're absolutely going to lead yourself to burnout. So, what happens when we become unbalanced and we start to get into that burnout? We're distracted. We have a lot of mental fog because that prefrontal cortex is shutting down. You might try multitasking. This is a key sign for me that somebody has fallen into one of those traps. We try to do too many things at once. We start to have a lack of trust in others because we start to even develop a perfectionist mentality. And if you want to do something right, you do it yourself. I also see a lot of clients fall into hyper focus. So, this is where you get so intently focused on something, you neglect the rest of the world. So, this is you sitting at your computer and then you look up and go, oh no, I was supposed to be in that meeting 5 minutes ago. Maybe that was some of you who were coming in a little bit later today. You were in that hyper focus mode and then you looked at the clock and went, oh no, I'm supposed to be in this Zoom meeting. Or you ever look up and it's 3 o'clock, you go, man, I haven't even eaten lunch today. I've just been so heavily focused. It's nice to find workflow. It's dangerous to be in hyper focus. You need to keep an awareness of your body, of what's going on throughout the day. When I talk about life balance, understand I'm bringing it from these 7 areas of well being. So when I talk about getting your life in balance, I'm talking you should have a sense of meaning and purpose. What is it that gets you out of bed in the morning? Because without that, there's no reason to put your feet on the floor. Mental wellness. Are you learning new skills? Are you remembering things? Are you, thoughtful? Are you able to come up with new creative ideas? Are you able to solve problems well? Your environmental wellness. having an environment that supports you, that's calming, that is relaxing, that you feel safe in. Relational wellness. Brene Brown puts this perfectly. Are you trying to fit in, or do you really feel a sense of belonging? Do the people that you interact with, do you feel a sense of belonging with them, or are you just trying to fit in? Emotional wellness, feeling the wide range of emotions. It's okay to be grumpy and angry and mad and sad. It's okay to be ecstatic and on top of the world. It's a problem when we get stuck in any one emotion, when we stay in depression or we have kind of like a manic episode and we just can't seem to come down. Those are really key indicators of poor emotional well being. For the most part, we should be calm, hopeful, and positive, but it's okay to feel sad and angry as long as we don't get stuck there. Physical wellness, you feel healthy and energized, you're performing well, you're functioning well. And then financial wellness, do you feel financially secure, not living paycheck to paycheck, and you feel calm about that? If you want, you are welcome to take our free Life Force assessment. There's a QR code on your screen. You can scan it or go to lifeforcewellness.com/balance, no www. For free, you'll get a little life wheel like this. Understand the goal is to not have a 10 out of 10 in every area. What we want to see is that it's balanced, that you're giving equal attention to all areas, ideally a 7 or above in every area. What we don't want to see is, maybe you've been so focused on your career and your finances that those are like a 10 out of 10, but your physical well being and maybe your relationships are at like a 2 because you've been neglecting friends and family because you've been so focused on work, or you've been neglecting your own health because of it. We don't want to see that we're putting something in full neglect. So, this is a great tool for setting goals. So, we are through the first quarter. Maybe you're still trying to figure out what goals you want to set for your health and your well being and for your own stress. What are those areas that you're neglecting that you need to give a little more attention to? And what areas have maybe you've been over focusing in that you can pull back a little bit from? So I encourage you to go ahead and take this free assessment and use it in whatever way works best for you. Now let's get into the fun stuff. What can you do to really help lower the temperature of stress and reduce burnout on a daily basis? First and foremost, get rid of the toxic positivity. So this is how this webinar got its name. I love this meme. When we sit there and everything is on fire, but people ask us, "How are you?" And we just go, "I'm fine. I'm good. Everything's great." And you're not. It's time for us to remove the mask. It's time to be authentic. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to reach out to others. It is okay to go to somebody and say, "You know what? I'm not having a great day. I'm actually having a really bad day today. So if I seem grumpy, I apologize, but I'm just not well today." Totally fair. It also tells others how to manage expectations around you. I used to do this with my team when I worked in the oil and gas field. I would come in my team and be like, "Guys, I was up until 4 o'clock in the morning dealing with this issue. I'm exhausted. If you need something, put it in writing." And they knew today's not the day to ask Megan for a raise. If we can wait to deal with this problem, we'll wait till tomorrow. Today's not the day, right? They knew how to manage expectations. And what I have found is when I did that as a leader, they would start to do that. They could come to me and say, "Hey, I'm really off today. I need a little extra help." We're human. We're going to have good days and we're going to have bad days. Rather than putting on the fake mask and just going, "I'm fine," be honest. How are you really? And stop with the toxic positivity. This one I love to ask. So I ask people, what's the first thing you do when you wake up? Turn off your alarm, hit snooze, put the dog out. But one of the big things I hear is, "Oh, I start checking. I check my emails. I check the Slack channel. I check the Teams chat. I check my text messages. I check my social media." What that does is give other people control. Brendan Burchard, he's one of the best high performance coaches in the world. He had this quote that your email inbox is nothing but a convenient organizing system for other people's agendas. So if you're a people pleaser, you are probably one of those people that the first thing you do when you wake up is start checking your messages. What do other people need from me? Before you even get out of bed, you are handing control to other people on how your day is going to progress. So if that is you, I strongly recommend you instead start your day with the 3 M's. So the 3 M's are movement, mindfulness, and management. You should spend 10 to 15 minutes when you first wake up before you check your phone, moving your body, opening up the joints, releasing the stiff muscles, just tune into the body, get the blood flowing. Then spend 10 to 15 minutes in mindfulness. Set your intentions for the day. This could be prayer, meditation, devotions, affirmations, journaling. One thing that's been heavily studied is gratitude journaling. So, sitting down and going out of everything in the universe, what am I most grateful for right now? And write that down. And then ask yourself, why, out of everything in the universe, did I choose this thing to be grateful for in this moment? And journal on that and do it for the second and the third thing. Science has shown when you start your day with gratitude journaling like this, it promotes optimism. You start to look for other things to be grateful for. It activates what's known as the reticular activating system, topic for another day. But when you activate that, you actually see more positive things throughout your day. So you want to make sure you set your mind right. The third is management. Plan your day. You pick the three things you want to get done today. Before you look at anyone else's to dos, what are the three things you want to accomplish before you go to bed tonight? And put those down, make space for them. You don't have to time block every moment of your day, but time block at least those important things. So, those three tasks you want to get done, and then any breaks you need. I made a huge mistake when I first launched my Calendly. I did not block out a time for lunch, and people started booking all these meetings with me at lunchtime. I had 3 weeks I couldn't take a lunch. So now, if you look at my calendar, there is a time block from 12 to 1 for me to take a lunch on days I'm not doing the webinar. Today, it's actually set from 1 to 2. And then 2 to 3 every day, I have a time block for checking emails. So if my day goes completely haywire, I at least have a time block where I can sit down and respond to people's emails before the end of business. So just those important time blocks that I need to make sure there's time carved out for those important tasks. I don't need a time block every moment. So starting your day with the 3 M's: movement, mindfulness, and management. As you move throughout your day, you should be taking time to stay mindful in the moment. You absolutely should be taking breaks. About every 45 minutes to an hour, you should push back from your desk and you should do a mind body scan. That means you pretend like you're in one of those super cool spy movies and you scan from the top of your head all the way down to your toes. And you just take note of what you feel. Maybe as you close your eyes, you realize, like, yeah, my eyes are tired from staring at a computer screen. You take a big, deep breath in through your nose and release it through your mouth. So you realize I unclenched my jaw and my mouth is actually really dry. I need a drink of water. You notice your shoulders are tight, your hips are tight. You notice that you need to bend your knees, you squeeze your toes. Just take note of what's going on in your body, because a lot of times we tune it out and we sit there and we're all stressed, or we get that, I like to call it my gremlin sit. I sit at my desk and I turn into like this little gremlin and I realize, okay, I'm stressed. I need to push back. I need to straighten myself out, get up, use the restroom, refill my water, get a snack, whatever it is that I need to do. But I won't know to do it unless I take a pause and tune into my body. The other thing is checking in with our mental well being. We have a very strong negativity bias. So if you started your morning with gratitude practice and you walked out the door super hopeful, and then some jerk cut you off in traffic or they messed up your coffee order, we tend to let those little irritations mess up the rest of our day. So taking a pause to also go, how am I feeling in this moment emotionally, mentally, and just take a note of where your thoughts are and try to bring it back. So maybe it means redoing your gratitude journaling. And lastly, end your day with good quality sleep. I cannot preach this enough. If you want to fix your health, start with sleep. Your sleep is so vital to everything else in your body, your mind, your physical body. Cells get repaired, your brain gets flushed, short term memories turn into long term memories, muscles repair, your body fights infections, hormones are regulated. It is so important to get good quality sleep. A full sleep cycle takes anywhere from 90 to 110 minutes. So that's where we get the 7 to 10 hours or 7 to 9 hours of sleep, depending on your own personal sleep cycle. You want to get several of those through the night. In order to get good quality sleep, it starts with setting the right environment. Science says 65 degrees is the optimal temperature for sleep. I argue that I'm not a penguin and that seems a little cold, but cooler is better. Dark, comfortable. If you get nothing else out of this webinar, please get a new mattress. You spend a lot of time on it. Invest in a good mattress. Don't invest in that crazy exercise machine you saw online. Invest in a good mattress and get the electronics out of your room. There should not be TVs and cell phones and iPads and everything else plugged in. When we measure those brain sleep cycles, we're measuring electronic pulses in the brain. And sometimes when you have a lot of electronics plugged in your bedroom, it actually can interfere with the electronic brain waves of your brain, and it keeps you from getting into those deep areas of sleep. So if you're somebody who sleeps with headphones in and your iPad next to your head, and you're finding I'm just not feeling like I'm getting good deep sleep scores, try removing a lot of the electronics and seeing if that makes a difference. Develop a good sleep habit. I love to teach 3, 2, 1, sleep. 3 hours before bed, stop eating. You don't want food in your system that's going to creep back up your esophagus when you lay down. That's what causes a lot of your heartburn and indigestion. It also boosts your metabolism because your body's trying to break it down and push it through the digestive system. You want that to be fully emptied and calm before you go to bed. 2 hours before bed, do something fun. Get a hit of dopamine. Your brain wants dopamine. That's why you get into doom scrolling. Do that 2 hours before you plan on going to sleep, not as like 15 minutes before you want to fall asleep. And 1 hour before bed, turn off all the blue lights. No cell phones, no TVs, no computer screens. Read a paper book, set out your clothes for the next day, pack your lunch, but take a hot bath, but no screens an hour before bed. It actually messes our brain with the circadian rhythm. Our eyes see it gets dark. And when we see that it gets dark, our brain starts to automatically produce melatonin, or our body starts to produce melatonin. So if you're somebody taking a melatonin supplement, try turning off the blue light an hour before bed and let your body produce it more naturally. But it has to be dark for your body to start to produce that. So dimming the lights at night, getting rid of the blue light is going to help. So 3 hours, stop eating. 2 hours, do something fun. 1 hour, stop looking at lights. If you have a big event coming up, 72-hour rule. What you do in 72 hours is how you feel today. So if you're feeling a little bit like not so great today, it might not have anything to do with what you did this morning or even last night. It could have been 2 days ago, something you ate, the way you slept that is still affecting you. So when we think about our sleep, it's a culmination of 72 hours. It can take up to 72 hours for food from the time it enters the body till it exits the body. So how you feel today is a collection of the last 72 hours. So if you have a big event coming up, plan for it 3 days in advance by watching how you eat, how you sleep, how you move your body, who you talk to. All those things are going to affect your performance. So, in order to have a little less stress in your life, the big things I recommend: ending the toxic positivity, just being able to be authentically you. Start your day off with movement, mindfulness, and management. Tune into your body, perform that mind body scan, and take a pause for positivity. Get good quality sleep, set the right environment, and practice 3, 2, 1 sleep. And if you've got a big event coming up, plan for it 3 days in advance. That way you can be prepared, even if it's a really stressful, a family gathering, a wedding, something that you know is going to be stressful and you want to be at peak performance, plan for it 3 days in advance. If you are interested in diving deeper into this, I know this was quick. I could talk on this stuff for a long time. I am launching a 3-day hot mess to high performance challenge. We're going to run it next week, April 14th through the 16th. It's going to be from 12:30 to 1 p.m. every day. In it, we're actually going to dive a little bit deeper into those balance blockers and how do we reverse them. We're actually going to look at our energy blueprint. So when are you at peak energy in the day, and how do we match that to the tasks that you want to accomplish that day? And then we're going to pick one habit that you can start to build. So what is that one thing that's going to make the biggest shift for you? So it's going to be those 3 days, April 14th through the 16th at 12:30. You can scan the QR code and sign up for it there. And it's a great introduction into the Optimize 60 program we offer. So I do offer a full 60-day coaching program on boosting productivity, reducing the stress, going much deeper into some of the concepts that we talked about today. This webinar is recorded. I know that some of you came in a little bit late and might have missed the beginning. I will have the recording out to you later this afternoon. If you have any questions, I will figure out how to get the chat back up here. The chat should have been enabled, but I understand it's been disabled. So I'm going to figure that out here. But you are welcome. There we go. It should be open now. You are welcome to go ahead and put a question in the chat. If you don't want to put it in the chat or unmute, if you just don't feel comfortable, you are always welcome to email me directly, or you can book a free 15-minute consult using the link on your screen. We will be back next month with a webinar on Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life. So when we talked about that reticular activating system, I'm going to go deeper into that. How do we reframe those negative thoughts that really plague us? That I'm not good enough, I'm not capable, those negative lies that we tell ourselves. How do we rewire our brain to be a little bit more positive, be a little more optimistic? Because that is something we all struggle with, and that is for May's Mental Health Awareness Month. So at this time, I'm happy to take any of your questions. Well, thank you. Yep, I will be sure to email you. Yeah, if any of you are business leaders and you would like, we have the full 60-minute webinar for this. I can actually, you can book it directly online, but I will email you information. You can book this for your company, and we can do this as a lunch and learn for your company as well. So, yes, thank you. All right. And if there's no other questions, I'll let you all get back to the rest of your day. I'm sure there are fires to put out. I will have an email to you with the replay and information. I hope you'll join me also next month. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you.